Alright guys, part 2. Bag B. These are the shocks. Let's get this thing opened. So you get 2 bottles of 35 weight oil, which we are not going to use. We'd be running 90 weight in these. We'll definitely keep the suspension nice and slow. And that's what you want. You don't want that fast rebound. So we got springs, shafts, rod ends, screws, E-clips, E2 clips maybe. What do they call them? Yeah, E2 clips. And the caps, plungers, spring retainers, rod ends, and the last bag is where all the goodies are. Come on. These things like to stick. These things being the O-rings, I don't know if you can see with the glare from the light with the shiny bag. Make sure that's it. That's it. Toss that to the side. You got your typical, what are these? They're not even marked what springs they are. Oh yeah, this way. Red. 2 red springs. And 2 green springs. So if you go with red is softer, green is stiffer. So for this, we will put the greens in the rear when it comes time to assemble. If I don't remember, leave me a comment and say, hey, you messed up. So it's nice that they put these spring retentioner collar things on here. Right, so we will set all of this aside. We will start with 1 and the O-rings. So it looks like you are taking this lower cap off. Got 2 open pieces. Let's see if I can zoom in the hair. Whoop, there we go. It's about as far as you're gonna get. So you've got O-ring and black plastic piece, spacer, what do they call it? They call it another O-ring, but it's not necessarily O-ring, it's plastic. Alright, and then you need 1 plunger, 2 E-clips, 1 shaft, and I believe that's it. Yeah, okay. So what I like to do, if I have something that can help me, we'll try this. So you don't ever want to put the, off camera, I have just a bag that I'm going to put some shock oil on, just a drop. You don't ever want to put the O-rings in dry. They will inevitably leak. It's just part of it. I mean, RC shocks leak in general as it is anyways, but I like to just make a mess and get the O-ring nice and lubed up, slide it in, and we'll do the same with the plastic one with the residual on my fingers. Pop that in. We got one more clearish white one. Get some more on there. I learned this from the Vanquish shocks and putting the SCX10 Pro kit together that I did, shoot, probably a year ago now. Alright, and then the cap goes on the outside, the lower cap. So we will screw that on nice and tight till it stops. And then try to get some of this shock oil off my fingers. The silicone shock oil is definitely fun to keep off your fingers. And again, I still haven't found the right pliers for these E-clips. South Carolina Redneck RC Productions. Let me know if you found those yet. I know we were talking about them. They'll be helpful for whatever kit I decide to go next. So you just want to be ever so gentle. There are 2 darkened rings on here. You get the lower one and the upper one. So you get the E2 clip on, and then you will put your, oh shoot, your plunger piece. Come on, come on. There it goes. That plunger piece with the 3 holes will go on top of that. And then another E2 clip on top of that to hold it all together. It's really not fun with just needle nose. Ah, there we go. All right, so both of those are on there. Then we will slide it into the shock body. But again, I'm gonna lube this up with just a hair so that it doesn't dry slide and pull off all the extra lube that we've already put on the O-rings. Slide that down into there, pull it out, and then we've got the, where are my shock pliers? Found them, shock pliers. Handy dandy. These are the ProTech RC ones. There's some cheap Amazon ones, but I wasn't willing to find out if they were good or not. So let's see, to make this easier, we're going to put a spring on, and then we will lift the spring back enough. Wait, what am I doing? There ain't no need for that. We're putting the lower eyelet on. Alright, lower eyelets on. Now, spring and retainer cup. Get out of there, get, go. My dog's getting curious. Sees the RC car body even though he hates RC cars. So what I like to do is have just enough tension on this down to keep that spring from bouncing around, rattling around. And then you've got these longer screws and these smaller screws. I don't know if you can see them. Longer screw, smaller screw. You're gonna go with the longer one, and we're going to go with a 1.5, and it will screw into the cup for the shock to help retain it so it doesn't fall off. It's a great design, by the way. The last thing you want is a spring to come off when you're back in the trails. Just like to tighten that down. Not all the way, but a good bit. And then after that, you've got the cap, and these black O-rings will sit down inside of here, and they'll get lubed up with the excess shock oil that will seep out. I like to press that down in, and then give that a nice tighten just to make sure that that O-ring sits down in there and seals right. Alright, so it's sat down in there nice, and we will come back with the 90 weight shock oil. I like to fill it up a fair amount, and you don't want the plunger to come out of the shock oil, but you don't want to overfill it to lose too much shock oil. So the plunger came out, and it will add some bubbles into it. So since I got distracted a second ago, we will sit there, grab these smaller screws I was talking about earlier, and it will go into the top of the shock cap. I'll put it in just a couple turns because that's where the excess shock oil will ooze out of. Now that we've got the bubbles out, you can see them come to the surface in the shock oil. Press this down, make sure that it's all oozed, or not oozed, but make sure all the bubbles are to the surface. We're going to try to get that one just about to the tip. There we go. The shock oil will just kind of crown over the top. So now we will screw the shock cap on and give it a compress. Make sure to get it pressed all the way down and get all the excess air out. And then tighten that screw down. Don't over tighten and strip it. And that is one shock fully built. Then you've got these two different ball ends. One's got a standoff, one doesn't. The standoff ones go in the top, unlike the Vanquish ones that I did wrong. With it going in the top, it keeps it stood off enough. Oh, this is going to be kind of a pain with these shock pliers. See if I can do this or not. There we go. Alright, top one in, and the bottom one next. And that's it. That is how you build these axial SCX10 shocks. So that was one. I'm gonna go ahead and speed through the other ones and listen to some music while I do it. Alright, so there we go. That is all 4 shocks assembled with fluid, using this 90 weight fluid. This is Team Losi Racing in a Traxxas shock bottle because I like the little nipple on it better than the just flip cap. So that is all of the shocks assembled, fluided up, filled up with fluid, bled, and feeling real good. We'll adjust all the preload once we get it on the vehicle. So that is part 2 of the build. Stick around and we will do part 3, which looks like the transmission. Now I've taken these transmissions apart multiple times. They're not easy. The Vanquish is a little bit easier to do than these, so stick around. We will do this transmission and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.